I mean, that looked pretty scary. I'd be happy seeing that go.
To be honest, I'm super impressed. As a region, the LEC does not have the greatest history of strong Wukong performances, so it's been ramping up, and Yike certainly looking like the poster child for what the champ could do. Now, though, as we enter the second pick and ban phase, Varus at the bench this time. Vi also taken out.
I'm curious, though, what the plan is for things like the Rumble, because it felt like, at least in the last game, Fnatic were attempting to have a plan for what was Jace, right? Which was, takes on, rotate a whole crap ton of times, make sure that nothing funky is going to happen. Now I'm curious if they have another answer for the Rumble or even things like the Ambessa, because these have kind of been the big champions for Canna, and do they actually have an answer?
I think maybe Fnatic just want to first pick the Rumble, to be honest. You also have now Jace out of the picture, which is something Canna went for yesterday into the Rumble and looked really good on it. So I think having that blind pick on Oscar should be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think the Gwen ban also says that, because that's kind of been the go-to answer into the Rumble. And also some of the Canna's picked up several times as well. So we'll have to see exactly what the answer is going to be and what this last ban is going to be. Azir, probably it, unless they're like, hey, we give Rumble and we get Azir, but no, they're just going to ban it away.
Azir ban well predicted, and Rumble first pick.
There it
on
is.
Point, gentlemen. Now,
it's a crazy win rate. 23 wins, 6 losses.
It's disgusting how powerful it is. I think the best counter pick we saw to it was Varus. It just gets perma-banned so much, not as a Rumble counter pick, but as like a good champ. That we're just not going to see a lot more wins into it. Although, as you mentioned, Canna was able to do it yesterday with the Jace. See if he has another pick up his sleeve. I imagine they do want to lock in top lane, but Lucian has been rising in prio, something they could go for early here.
I mean, one of the nice things about Lucian these days, as we've seen it a lot in the LCK, is you don't need to pair it up with the Nami. It just works very well as a standalone champion. We haven't seen the most success on it so far in the LEC, but it is a champion that has incredibly strong laning phase, can snowball very hard, good mobility, and has a lot of agency in the team fights.
What's the other pick going to be, though? Does Yike want to prio an early jungler? Take his time. Xin locked in, another skirmish jungler. And the remaining skirmish junglers of the pool is not a lot left, right? Vi taken out, Xin gone, also have Wukong and Pantheon taken away too. So what is the angle here for Razork? Is it Nefiri?
I would love to see like Maokai Tristana here, to be honest. That would be really banging.
Who has ever said that sentence in the history?
I mean, just like a really nice front-to-back comp here. You could even do Skarner, Tristana.
I was going to say, like, one of the things that I think Fearless, we don't discuss the Fearless a lot, is like, Jax used to be the go-to counterpick for Xin Zhao, but you kind of now need to keep it for top lane in case things come out as well. So it's funny how some of these picks can bleed over into other aspects of the game, even though you may be holding on to it for later on. But Skarner going to be the one, and I think when you're already having a couple of short-range members at KC, Skarner going to get value either way.
And it's going to be the Nami here. I'm a pretty big Lucian Nami hater. As I said earlier, I think he can be played with other things, and I mean that. He should be played with other things. But they have now the ability to ban out 2 bot laners, so they should be able to set up themselves for great success here with also Caliste and Draven and Nults being out.
It's also the thing I want with Lucian is something like a Maokai, to be perfectly honest. Something if you're going to play the Nami. So it's like, hey, we can try and play off of his strength in the mid lane, try and bully out the enemy opposition in the mid game and kind of find prio and advantages through that. But when you have the Xin Zhao, he just doesn't really offer that same level of support for a Lucian Nami. So I agree with Jack. I would have preferred something that was a bit more self-reliant rather than needing that jungle intervention as well.
Yeah, and while I like the Lucian, I'm also a skeptic of the Lucian Nami so far as a hater.
It's a hard combination.
It's a hard combination. Yeah, and I don't want to beat this meme to death, but if you're not speaking Korean, like maybe take it down a notch, you know? That's my only point. We'll see how it manifests in game. In the meantime, though, this is an opportunity for KC to show us a lot, right? This would make them a terrifying for anyone they're going to face in the future, MKOI, G2, etc. If they can win this game and then win out the series, if they're the kind of team that can pull off a comp that is this sharp, that is this like singularly focused, it's a terrifying team to go toe-to-toe against, but it will be a tough task as we enter the second ban phase. Ambessa, Ahri, the Nico, the Elise, aggressive support options taken away to make sure that Caliste and Targamas are comfortable on the bottom side. But the other important thing to note is that Targamas, on the engaged supports, has been doing really well recently.
Yeah.
But the range supports, whether it's for him or for the team, haven't kind of hit the same.
That is true, but Vladi and Canna here both have counter pick, which is really, really rare that you get that luxury. So this Galio could go either mid or top, to be honest, as we have seen it into the Rumble quite a few times. I feel like if I close my eyes, I don't really see Canna Rumble being a thing, but he's a man full of surprises.
As Derek said yesterday, the tank lineup that he's played is Cassante. And that's it. So it would definitely be taking a step outside his wheelhouse, but I do like it into the matchup, and I love this pairing in the bottom side for Fnatic as well. I was trying to figure out, okay, what kind of engage can you go for here? And when you've already got the Skarner who can take that step forward and kind of be that bridge for Rakan to take some of these fights and set up these fights, I think that engage is going to be great for Fnatic. Wasn't sure if they wanted to go for the MF pairing with it, but Xayah going to be fine in this bottom side as well.
Wow, and if we look in Aurora here, this is an incredibly hard draft for KC.
Zoe.
Go Zoe instead.
It's still a really hard draft.
You really need to play incredibly well on mid waves here. You want to poke them out, whittle them down, because if Fnatic get on top of them, it's a one fight for them already.
I mean, yeah, Galio could do a certain amount with the taunt. He can certainly make it harder for the Rumble and the Ryze to get into melee range, the Rakan as well, but the peel that they have is so hard to reliably pull off. Xin and Galio aren't in the perfect positions. If the tidal wave is not perfect, this is a very vulnerable composition from KC.
Well, the thing is, you also have the Realm Warp to try and follow some of these plays as well, which also makes it a bit tough. So if you overextend on a river play, suddenly you've got a Ryze out that's bringing things like the Skarner in on top of you, even the Rakan in on top of you. But I think for KC, this is definitely we hit the early game hard, hope we win, and snowball that into a victory, because otherwise I think just you lose so much control for Lucian and Zoe that the game becomes very difficult to play out.
Yeah, I think if KC gets ahead with this draft, they can definitely steamroll, they can generate so much control if they're first on the map, if they have better tempo, but this is a hard draft to pull off. If I'm seeing Genji play this draft, I'm very scared. But KC, they've shown a lot of inconsistencies. They're not the team that they were last split, and they're not as clutch as I would like to see them. So I'm really favoring Fnatic in this one.
Well, they haven't been that team yet.
Yeah.
This is the chance. So many interviews KC talked about, whether it was Yike or Caliste, talking about, hey, paying it a percentage of their full power. Perhaps an opportunity to show us what full power looks like. But for Fnatic, probably feeling pretty comfortable as we head into this game two. Down a game. When it comes to ease of execution, reliability, their draft certainly seems to have an edge.
And it's going to be the Electrocute here for Caliste. So this is like a really strong early laning rune for the Lucian. You do sacrifice a little bit of the scaling power, and you have to go Domination Tree, which kind of sucks. But you do have insane damage early game after Electrocute got its base damage buffed. So we'll see if he can utilize it.
Pressure to try to shut down this lane phase. Power the culling also against so many champs that want to run into this Lucian. In case 8 can be first on the objective is going to be big to track.
And he has sudden impact plus Scorch as well. Like, this is a man that's playing to win lane. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, this man is like a Season 2 Red Pot away from really full committing to killing someone in the first 2 minutes of the game. Is Yike, decent start, just charges in there, gets a bit of poke down. Battlestar not going to connect. This mid lane match will be interesting to track. Of course, Humanoid did have the edge with the Victor in the previous 1v1. And Vladi, pretty much the only person bringing out this Zoe.
Didn't make it work last time, but it was an incredibly hard Zoe game. He was up against 3 tanks. This time it's only really the Skarner and the rest of the targets. If he's able to land that bubble, it should just be a clean kill.
I'm ready to see this champion come back into pro play. I think, you know, we had like the 2 years where everyone hated her, and then she disappeared. She could have another chance.
I was very glad to lose the Ayayas in the chat, to be completely honest.
I'm a Zoe main.
They're back. I know they're back. If they weren't already, Rob, you've made your own bed there, dug your own grave. Upset. Mikyx still trying to vie for control here. Of course, wants level 2, level 3.
The goal of this Fnatic bot lane is survival, right? You're just playing to try to get some Rakan Qs, try to sustain up. Xayah goes Q start as well, just try to last it. And as long as you're not bleeding in CS and you can get to that level 6 mark, that's when Rakan actually becomes playable into Lucian. Because pre-level 6, it's really, really difficult for Rakan to ever get a W onto that Lucian.
And I don't think we can really see Fnatic go for the same sort of lane swaps that they went for the last game to try and avoid some of these poor matchups, because the Galio is going to be fine in the range matchup, whereas the Rumble going to struggle a lot more. So I think for Fnatic, you kind of have to stay in this. So it'll be on Razork to see if he can get down here and alleviate some of that pressure. But Yike already getting into his face and trying to spot out where he is.
I mean, this time it's actually KC that might want to look for some swaps here, because if they can mismatch and have Galio laning into the Xayah Rakan while the Rumble is getting punished by the Lucian Nami, they could be really happy with it. But right now, Yike is looking to utilize this bot prio to try to punish Razork here.
Zoning him out of the jungle completely. For now, it is just a bit of vision. Stealing away half camp. A little bit of XP from Razork there, as he does at least get the little ones. Some money back in his pocket. I mean, it's a good call, right? The team that has Prio, often the one that gets to choose when these swaps will come through. Upset and Mikyx trying to find a brief window to capitalize as the 1v1 versus Razork. Carries on. Vladi on the way. Has stole the Shirelias there. Picked that up off a minion, so can be quite fast. A bubble would be pretty devastating. Yike can do a lot of damage in a short burst.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be the crab going over to KC, but Mikyx might be a bit deep here.
Battle dance.
He is Rakan. It's pretty hard to get caught out.
I didn't through the wall, though.
Bubble. Alright, he's fine.
Vladi's going to actually have to sacrifice a mid-wave here for this move, as it was Fnatic's bot lane that was able to leverage the fact that KC's bot lane moved to get level 3 first and get control back in the lane and actually help out Razork that way, so he only loses half a Krug camp and is able to get red buff and kind of back in the game.
Yeah, interesting to see what KC do when they're the one in the advantage early game, when they've got this stronger 2v2 lane. For now, it is just a little bit of jungle denial and a lot of vision set up on the bottom side. The difference, of course, in this game is Oscarinin has the favorable matchup. The Galio can be rough, but Rumble in general still just so powerful. I mentioned it before, right? The win rate is disgusting. Most of the counter picks, they don't work. Because it's not like anyone is counter picking with a Rumble here. They're always first picking.
But I swear, in the half of the games I see Rumble in LEC, he's kind of useless, no? Like, I don't know, the champion has crazy win rate, but I don't feel like it.
You're right. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of games where he does nothing, overheats one time, auto attacks an AD carry 5 times, kills them, and we go, this champion looks disgusting.
I think it also depends on setup, and when you've got an equalizer with Mikyx, who in theory can try and set up those fights for you, I think you're in a good spot. But if Mikyx gets denied, say by Canna's ultimate coming through, or kind of forcing Fnatic to back away, I think getting value from this Rumble is going to be a little difficult. But
I mean, to be fair, you have literally CC from all 4 Fnatic members.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do think in the setup department, they are pretty chilling.
It's just the short range of their CC is the problem, right? Because I'm looking at running into a Vladi ball, the culling from Caliste, even like just a taunt from the Galio.
Yeah, getting on top of them is that challenge that they need to try to overcome.
Yeah, Rakan is a slippery fellow, but if it always says night-night as he runs face first into a bubble, it's going to be a tough one. But mentioning something you brought up earlier, right? Caliste and Targamas playing for these short trades.
Incredible position.
Falling. Flash out from Caliste. May get knocked to the wall. Still has the dash. Flash from Targamas. Double sums burn there. A nice look. Good window of opportunity there for Razork to come in and help them push out this wave. They were losing pretty horribly in the 2v2 trades. You saw Caliste repeatedly proccing Electrocute, excuse me. Now at least they're free to back, free to reset. They could go for a swap here, but based on your earlier point, I don't think it's in their best interest.
I think if Yike is able to sneak this dragon, it would be huge, because then you're kind of avoiding having to pay the price of these summoners being lost, because that would be the fight that I would be looking for. But I think Fnatic should be in time to contest here with Razork and Mikyx on the way.
Humanoid is low on mana in the mid lane though, which may be the only deterrent. Maybe you can get a reset in and TP back in, but I think the dragon will be gone at that stage.
Level 6
Razork might look for a steal.
Bubble hits on the Mikyx, goes over the wall.
That's better of it.
1700, Razork.
I mean, they're kind of just playing to buy time here, because KC's bot lane really wants to match the recall of Fnatic's bot lane. So now, with Mikyx and Razork kind of playing gatekeepers, it means that Caliste didn't get his base off, and now he needs to stay, and now Fnatic can utilize that to ideally have better tempo for the Grubs.
And we'll see, they've already burned sums. We saw them do it in game 1. They weren't able to turn it into a lot.
Humanoid TP
here. They could be a bit more aggressive. TP down to the bottom side. Vladi waiting over the wall. Has a setup for an excellent long-range build, but is just heading right back to mid. KC, there's no real wave here for Fnatic to play on. So perhaps a bit over-eager on the TP. Humanoid is level 7, so he could have realm warped in.
Yeah, I think they got a bit overzealous with the fact that KC's flashes were down, so they really want
realm warp.
Well, Caliste ended up staying while his whole team recalled.
Perhaps the right amount of zealous from a team named Fnatic. We'll find out here. Caliste, level 5, should be no way out of this dive. He accepts his fate. Zeal was the appropriate answer. A lot of enthusiasm for blood there from the side of Fnatic. Looks like they have lost a mid-wave, and Humanoid will take a quick nap, but at least he walks away with an assist.
And it's a great ult from Humanoid, but you have to wonder, the whole of KC recalled, while Caliste ended up staying alone with no flash when he knew that Humanoid was around. Pretty big mistake from him here, as he loses that early game advantage that he'd slowly been building up on this Lucian.
And you'll also see the rotation that we were talking about earlier for moving up to avoid Upset and Mikyx going topside, Caliste going back to catch that wave in the bottom half of the map as well. So Fnatic going to be able to punish that doubly now with objectives as well.
Set up on top side, you highlighted it. Excellent position, opening the map on the top side, ready set up to take over, and it's solo Caliste pushing out this wave. Level 6 about to come in, so kills that way, probably deletes the next one with the culling. Decent spot, but Fnatic threatening the top side in this early game, already going a bit better for them. Game 1 is Vladi finds the bubble. Fall up there, just try and poke Razork out, but the Golem would have body blocked, and KC trying to hold on to set up around the Grubs.
That was a really small, cool thing that Razork did there, that he used his W, I think it is, right? Yeah. To aggro the blue buff so that it popped the bubble so that he couldn't get damaged by the Zoe Q. But it looks like it's actually going to be KC able to take at least one of these Grubs. But I really want to see Fnatic fight this.
I think, but the problem was Oscarinin TP bottom. They took so long for Fnatic to get set up. Caliste has walked the entire way from bot lane up to the top side.
Upset still hitting the tower. Bubble there. Night time for Razork. Needs to back up. Caliste coming in off the side. Razork flashing over all the culling there. Yike now going to fall. 3-man knock going in from Mikyx to Targamas in trouble. That's one vulnerable fish, but Targamas still living. Caliste playing through. Bubble not quite going to connect. That's back to for Mikyx trying to get tricky with it. Caliste still standing, still auto-attacking. Upset making the feathers fly. Bringing him right back in. Goes to sleep, but takes one with him. Vladi making it a nightmare for the side of Fnatic, though, as they take the fight.
KC managing to hold on so well off the back of that. Fnatic were trying to dodge everywhere. Sorry, Fnatic were trying to take the fight. KC, I'm going to leave that. I fumbled the word.
You know what? It's fine.
It's been a long weekend, okay?
I mean, it was all the contest from Razork as Humanoid was still clearing mid. You'd think that they would be the first ones on the Grubs here, but Fnatic are just too disjointed. Upset is pushing in top. Humanoid was pushing in mid or catching the wave, so they end up being super split. Humanoid can't really follow Upset. Razork is already dead. Targamas barely surviving, while Mikyx does a great dodge on this bubble. It's just not enough, and this is Zoe's playing zone. She picks up the flash, she picks up the cleanse, she picks up another flash, and she is just flashing and dashing all over the place.
Yeah. She's back.
I mean, Zoe wins. She's my main.
You know, good start to the fight for them, and this is something that Razork is going to have to adjust to, because you saw he didn't really get punished for just face checking the first Drake, right? Walking in, seeing if he could get a steal, maybe play for an exit kill. This time around, very much so. The ult going completely wide, a desperation effort to take someone with him, and a close fight, a scrappy fight, but ultimately it is KC with the Grubs, and the gold lead that Fnatic were starting to build, somewhat stymied.
Yeah, now I'm looking at jungle items, and it's a tough one seeing completed jungle item for Yike here. He looks so damn strong. Razork, after a relatively tough game 1, kind of muted. I really want to see him bounce back with better form, but it still looks like Yike has his number.
And I think this is big for Yike, right? This is a guy who has had some pretty high highs and some pretty low lows across his individual performance, but game 1, he was a monster, no doubt the MVP on that Wukong, and game 2, outpacing Razork. Exactly what you want to see for a team who, again, winning here, you're not done, you're not in MSI, you're not in finals. Next weekend's going to be tough. You need that momentum in your side.
Pushing mid now coming through, but Razork and Mikyx are in behind KC. Just going to exit out to the bottom of the map, and makes sense. Dragon going to be up in a few moments, and I think that's kind of where KC are hoping to just hold on to this vision control that they've already established. And this is where if you can look for bubbles over the walls, look for the opening with Caliste on the culling, you can set up nicely for the poke you need to take Fnatic out of the equation.
Yeah, mid-wave is really the ideal spot for this KC comp to try to ego, play forward. However, Humanoid does have teleport advantage onto Canna here, so if he's able to push in top, force Canna to respond, they can look to leverage that on this wave. I think trying to face check now for Fnatic would be great.
It's definitely a little tough, though. This is one of the frustrating things about Zoe, right? When she controls that fog of war, she just pokes from such long range without having to overcommit herself. Drake deleted. Again, Caliste and Yike both so powerful at this point in the game, those single item spikes, and Vladi contesting. Instant engage, though, that's the combo. Response comes in from Canna, though. Mitigates a lot of damage. Targamas is low, but the follow-up is not there. Razork with the pullback. Looking to get one, looking to get that shutdown onto Yike. Challenge is Judo. Yike unconcerned. The feathers pull back, but they don't hit a damn thing. KC again finding the angle. A beautiful equalizer. It ain't equalizing shit. KC find the angle.
And the engage looks so good for Mikyx, but there's just no follow-up. They've already kind of dispersed after giving over the Drake, and it feels like desperation that we try to go for this. And everything is so indecisive from Fnatic. They're not quite willing to actually send it on the Drake, and then they try afterwards, and it's too little too late.
And you gotta say, KC took a bit of a gamble with this composition, a lot of faith in their ability to execute, and while there have been missteps from Fnatic, they're in the position now where it feels great to play this kind of composition. Once that mid tower breaks, Vladi's going to have a field day.
Yeah, and again, it's just the fact you're able to buy so much space with the Galio ultimate in these fights is crucial.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the thing we're hitting on, right? Because you get this insane engage coming through from Mikyx, but Canna immediately with the ultimate over the top actually nullifies a lot of the equalizer damage that is coming through. And then the short range on Fnatic means they're not really in a position to follow up. They're able to turn onto Humanoid on the top side. The ultimate from Caliste is doing a ton of work on to upset. It just makes it really difficult for the damage dealers of Fnatic to actually get in on top of what was a really good engage from Mikyx.
And it reminds me of that mid-fight, game 1, where Yike goes all in. He's a fed Wukong. He's in a good position. He gets a good engage, but there's no one there to do damage, and it's the same story here for Fnatic. You highlighted upset Humanoid. Did nothing in that fight. They couldn't get position. They couldn't get in range. Now, once they have a few more items under their belt, it'll get easier, but I don't think KC are going to give them that kind of time.
Yeah, especially when you already have 2 Drakes on the board. It's just such an easy win comp to play for Drake Soul here, and Cloud Soul on Lucian Nami makes that poke so much harder to play around.
Vladi connected the bubble. Let's check the Zoe damage. How's it looking? Pretty good.
Not that high, to be honest. I mean,
you know, it's only level 10. Need a bit more time. A few more items. Definitely not release Zoe amounts of damage.
But it was also because the bubble already wore off because he had Mertred, so that's why. Yeah. If he didn't have Mertred, we'd be happy to see.
Thanks. Appreciate you gassing me up on my enthusiasm for Zoe.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, then it would have been like, oof, you know?
Maximum dopamine gaming.
Yeah.
Alright, KC. A catch here. Razork is all on his lonesome. Bubble from a mile away. He's stuck in the wall. Probably just a spectator bug. No, he lives there now. 2-man ulti. It's not going to do anything. KC find another pick.
Great timing on it as well. They'd interrupt Mickey's reset for the Rift Herald that's about to spawn. So like, great, we've just got numbers advantage on the map. They find Razork out on his own, and the bubble from Vladi connects perfectly to set that up.
Razork is just having a rough game here, getting caught out back to back. Not really able to find his footing. There's great bubbles from Vladi, but Fnatic just don't look in sync. And Mikyx tries now to clear wards on his own. No flash.
Waiting for now to go back to Oscar on the way in. We'll be able to bail him out. A ward does go down, but
now you can't really contest the Herald because now my support is 300 HP. When Skarner finally revived, it's back into play. It's just mistake after mistake after mistake from Fnatic.
And this is not a day where you can afford to make mistakes like this. It's a team that has gone back to the drawing board before multiple times since it became a team at the start of the year and come back stronger. But it doesn't feel like that's the case here. Even if the draft is solid, the player's not quite on the same page. And this is the thing is, Skarner's a strong champion, but at this kind of deficit, it's so hard to find that target.
Yeah. And he's playing against slippery champions as well, right? In the Zoe, in the Lucian, even the Zhao and Galio have a lot of mobility as well. So it's not an easy Skarner game to play by any means. But if we relax a little bit and take stock of the game, it's only a 2k gold lead for KC. I think this third Drake coming up will really be the nail-biter here. If Fnatic can get it, I think they can be back in the game. If KC get it, however, and they get a good fight going, that's where the really snowball starts rolling.
Definitely does, especially when you've got the Herald in your back pocket too. See if they want to use it mid or inside lane.
I also just like the lane assignments from KC at the moment as well. Having Canna down on the bottom side at the moment means that he's immediately able to be of value in these fights if Mikyx goes for some sort of snap engage like we just saw in the last one. Whereas you're kind of happy for Vladi to come in and have a position where he's able to deal damage over a wall and use these long range abilities. So I think KC just set up nicely on the map, but resets for Fnatic have come through and Vladi's still on that top side of the map. So looks like Fnatic at least numbers advantage down towards this river.
You highlighted this fight crucial. Gold lead not insurmountable. KC in a much more comfortable position. Can afford to get aggressive as you see Caliste there. Tidal Wave knockup does connect on the upset. Will he be forced to ulti here? Yike dropping the Herald. Perhaps this is a way out. Wants to break up mid lane tower. Razork off to the side with upset's health bar blinking. I don't think they can afford to start a fight realistically. KC happy to just take the objective as the taunt on the side will clip Humanoid. Followed up by the sleep. The damage coming in now as well, and down goes Humanoid. And Drake fight not going to be crucial because there's not going to be a fight.
It's a good engage by Mikyx again onto Caliste. They get his flash, but in return, upside is shrunk to half. They lose control over mid. Humanoid doesn't respect it. He ends up falling down. And his third dragon over to KC. And the game is just slowly slipping out of Fnatic's hands as KC look more and more in control.
Yeah, and again, it was just the fact that you had no vision on that bottom side jungle for Fnatic. Meant that Canna was just able to walk towards mid. He just caught Humanoid because he didn't realize that the Galio was in behind him. Fnatic now going to try and trade for the top side of the map, but Jack's right, like this game is just slipping through their fingers, and every time Fnatic seem to pull the trigger, it just slips even further from their grasp.
And really, the Zoe here is just going to continue to be a bigger and bigger problem. The Galio as well. The range they have to find these picks, to find these angles is very lucky that that one doesn't connect. Tower barely not going to fall, though. One more melee minion. You can do it. It's your time to shine, Chief.
Get him!
Oh my, oh god, you don't do any damage, bro. That's embarrassing.
Look, he's doing his best, okay?
that was his chance. There's nothing left on that
dude is like
bar.
35 seconds old, okay?
Yeah,
Come on.
Alright, fair. That's true. It's a lot of expectations to put on someone that young. But this is a difficult game. You highlighted it. I think it will take Fnatic with a creative, maybe a fast play, setting up in a brush, catching someone on KC unaware. Because once you've got the lane prio and the vision, playing Zoe starts to feel like a walk in the park.
And it's interesting to see again KC kind of taking this much slower pace of game even when they get these leads, because we saw the same yesterday where game 1 and 2 was a little ropey, but 3, 4 they just locked in, played a very slow, very cognizant game of how we want to step on the map, how the macro wanted to play it, and just not giving opportunities to the enemy to come back.
And I mean, we saw it yesterday in the broadcast as well, highlighted in the voice comms, like talking mid-game about how they weren't on the same page, but the issues that plagued them yesterday do not seem to be present at all.
And I think Fnatic need to reassess their win conditions, because they keep trying to group on mid lane. But this is Lucian, Nami's perfect zone. This is where they want to fight, where they want to poke you out. I really want to see them utilize this Ryze and Rumble on the side to try to make picks happen around the map. Because if you just keep grouping on mid, unless Caliste ints, it's never going to work.
It's true. The question I'll ask that we brought up last game is does it get better, right? If we have 3 items on upset, is that enough? 3 items on Ryze, is that enough? Or do they even realistically have the same opportunity they did in the previous game to kind of just stall out?
And the problem is in 3 minutes, you got to fight.
It's true.
Because if you give over that soul, I think any sort of pick becomes near impossible. Any fight becomes incredibly difficult to get on top of them. Everything just, like, Cloud Soul is one of the most... It's not so underrated anymore. It used to be incredibly underrated, but it just makes it so difficult to actually stick to people and get away from people, to really do anything. Movement speed is so OP in this game.
Sleep on the Humanoid. I don't even know how he lost most of that HP. I don't know, it wasn't from the sleep, but getting chunked out.
But again, you can see them just grouping on mid here, rather than trying to... I'd love to see Humanoid like focus to a side. Maybe they're not able to actually kill the Galio, but they can chunk him down, get a deep push that way. I just think this Ryze is not really doing anything around mid.
Looks like it's going to follow through on your particular plan of action. As you can see here how hard it is for Fnatic to approach, how hard it is for them to get mid lane control. Easy for Yike to just start up this Otacon. Plus, and Targamas have to be careful not to overstay. And Mickey's going to try to make the play happen. Flash, forward, flash response from Targamas. Nice tidal wave into the choke. Chain CC's there, and it might just be Razork falling. Using the ulting out, catching out Yike. Perhaps a moment where they can turn it back, but he uses an ulti of his own, and Caliste finds the kill. Root connects, but not the damage. Fnatic running.
Great patience from Targamas on the wave, waiting until Fnatic can actually come into that choke point so they can find the pick that they want to net KC. They just fall back to the Otacon once more.
We can just see it's so difficult to try to catch out this Lucian Nami, even with the Ryze ult. They're not able to actually get on top of them. And Fnatic are kind of bashing their head against the wall, repeatedly trying to do the same play over and over again. And it's just not going to work.
And they're just outranged. KC just don't need to go into the short-range champions, respecting, saving their cooldowns for that long-range engage. But we'll see Fnatic down some flashes. It's a similar story for KC, but the sleep connects on upset. That means the cleanse is already gone. Decent chunk of the health bar as well. Oscarinin on the flank, 3K. Great ulti. Canna not in the area quite yet. He's not ulting the team, which means the rest of KC is zoned away. The steal now coming in again. The Soul Laners and the LEC playoffs keep taking these objectives. Canna gets a kill, but he loses the objective, and now it's Humanoid sprinting, phase rush procced, running forward. Mikyx trying to use him as a highway to get into the fight. Nice taunt coming in from Canna. Wants to turn the fight back. Mikyx backstepping as well. KC will get the retreat, but they lose the objective in a 1-for-1 trade.
And it's the Otacon for Fnatic that is the real prize here, as they're kind of able to get away with murder, getting that when they didn't even have their jungler up. But still, you can see how hard it is for them to actually get on top of KC, as they just get kited again and again and again. But 20 seconds until Cloud Soul here.
The crucial fight, TP used. They know they need to fight for prio here. The battle over mid lane is where it starts. Bot wave probably pushing in favor of Fnatic,
so
but
much damage.
This is the problem. And so you get used to the slide and glide of Lucian, but just the poke of the culling before a fight is so tough to deal with.
And I was going to say, maybe your one opportunity here is Fnatic is a flash ult on towards Vladi from Razork, but he's been taking the half health because Vladi doesn't have that flash, but he's just playing so far away. I don't think Fnatic have a chance.
Yike so powerful as well. Razork getting chunked out. Taunt onto Humanoid now, but they don't need to follow. The discipline from KC in these fights is phenomenal. They finally caught Canna, but no one else is in range, and Vladi just continues to land the paddle stars.
It just looks impossible for Fnatic as they can't enter.
They don't have any HP on their engaged threats. They're dead now. Vladi, again, cannot miss.
And it's a poke masterclass from KC as they're just playing so disciplined, as you said, Drakos. It's just diligence and discipline at work here that leads them to the Cloud Soul, and it kind of feels like the game.
I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from KC. We've talked so much about how good they can be as a team fighting team when they lose games. It's often because that's not a position in the game that they get to, but they're disciplined. They see a little engaged, they just wait, they take their time.
And this is a 2,000 gold lead as they're onto Oscar now.
Taunt goes in. Oscar caught out there. Mikyx to buy him a bit more space, but it's not a lot. Knockback. He will be able to escape.
They're not able to kill him, but I have never seen a 2,000 gold lead that looks this suffocating. Fnatic cannot get control anywhere. They can never enter. It looks unplayable.
And I mean, it's because the 600 gold lead is there for Oscarinin, but it basically means nothing in the grand scheme of things because all of his damage is just getting nullified the second Canna ults, and KC aren't even giving them an opportunity to try and engage to find good equalizer opportunities. So from KC's side, they're more than happy to continue this as Razork going to get bubbled, take some love taps, and KC will disappear into Fog of War again.
And I do want to say what an incredible redemption game from Vladi. After a really tough Zoe performance against MKoi in that game 5, he's really showing that he has incredible expertise of this champion. It was just a tough draft to pull off last time.
Caliste feeling confident, Realm Warp in, and they just walk it out. Oh my gosh.
But this is exactly how you want to try and play this, is just continue to keep Fnatic on their side of the map so you can just do whatever the hell you want. And now you got Baron in 15 seconds. Oscarinin has to go back. He's got no TP, so setup is going to be there for KC around the objective, and it's just obnoxious as Fnatic to try and get anywhere.
And the one upside that Fnatic has is that KC's clump does do Nash pretty damn slowly.
It's true, yeah.
So it is hard for KC to progress the game, but they can kind of just have the Galio tank it forever and then just poke them out when they try to enter.
I think it's just the fact that Caliste can keep pushing and poking with this ultimate means it's really difficult for them to hold on to these outer turrets though, because once you can push them in far enough, you're just going to get to rotate between those tier 2 towers on Fnatic's side, and if you ever try and engage on anyone in that mid lane, it's great Canna going to be able to come in with an ultimate and keep them completely safe. So it just becomes very difficult for Fnatic to hold on to these tier 2s as soon as Caliste has that ultimate back up.
And I mean, the Dragons have been coming quick because we're 4 minutes away, excuse me, from an Elder. KC continue to try to control vision here. The setup, the poke from Vladi, only getting more lethal. It's not like anyone can really afford to take a break in their damage items to pick up MR here. Upset in Humanoid. Smirk treads, but not much else.
Mikyx has a crazy flank here. This could be it.
Vladi. Humanoid stepping up.
Keeping behind.
Taking his time. Mikyx ready to find the angle. 2-man engage. Fall from upside trying to get involved. But Yike immediately going to knock him back. Oscarinin on the backside trying to catch Vladi. That's going to be one sleepy rumble. Razork manages to catch him. But it doesn't look like Yike is concerned whatsoever. KC are just more powerful. Dancing on Fnatic.
The circles are just too powerful for KC, and it's a Venn diagram of destruction for Fnatic.
And it's such a great flank from Mikyx. He's able to get on top of all of them, but it's the Galio ults that keep coming in to deny the follow-up from Fnatic. And this has to feel like that was the last hope Fnatic had as KC pick up the Nasher and are gonna explode the gold lead to 7,000.
This is massive. What a clean game from KC, right? This is the clean game they needed to have with this composition, but they've remained diligent. KC, like Fnatic, have been a team that when they get these leads, they get a little sloppy. They get caught out here or there, but in this game, picture perfect. Vision first, not letting anyone be risky, playing at range as much as they can, and the one-time Fnatic finally, or the second-time Fnatic finally trying to find engage, it once again does not work out.
And this was the patience, this was the communication, the coordination that we wanted to see coming through from the KC side to kind of be like, yes, they are one of our top teams, but there was a lot of doubts coming through from the regular split. Their early game did not look good. Their mid games they could still bring back through team fighting, but this KC is dangerous and they're proving it.
Certainly are. Neither of these champions want to tank this. Razork is not tanky in the context of this game. There's not even any armor pen on Caliste. It does not matter. Yike now following up. That is one dead jungler.
I didn't know Caliste was half playing Trundle in this game as well. Ripping through every tank that steps up. KC, they're looking to crack up the base as well.
Gold lead like this, composition like this, it's pretty impossible for Fnatic to hold. They don't have the range, they don't have the wave here. Ryze is not a control mage. He doesn't just get to walk up for free.
And Caliste can just keep dashing forward here. All they need is one more Vladi bubble. They can probably look to end. As Fnatic desperately hold on.
And look, you said if Genji was playing this composition, you'd be scared. Oh, I think KC playing this composition also looking pretty damn scary. Mr. Spectra, Fnatic though, hungry for the engage. We'll find Yike. Nice double knockup into the taunt. Follow up there. Man, it's just, there's too much damage. Humanoid deleted. KC stopping that engage in its tracks. Now onto the Nexus. Flash in. They're going to take Canna. He goes golden. He'll still probably die. Bubble, he flashes. He's still living. Go away. He escapes. Not even the fountain laser is enough.
Give them something, KC. Come on.
Oscarinin gonna fall. Yike still standing. Upset's making the feathers fly, but Zoe making the game, and KC onto match point. One of their most dominant victories we have ever seen.
And what a wonderful execution of a difficult draft. They played with discipline, diligence, and incredible focus. Wow, what a KC we're seeing.